welcome to Dynamite the Live, the Thanksgiving edition. Now, of course, my video review is not called that. You already know what the title is, and it will be at the end of this review. But I'm going to say this about this show. It was good. Now, not everyone's going to enjoy it. I always say that because everyone sees something differently. But this was a good show. Really solid. You can say there's at least one thing you'll like about it, or two, easily. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Punk versus QT Marshall match. Now, I'm not talking about the promo that's being done at the end of this review, but I am going to talk about the match. It was a good match for what it was. I didn't really think that much about when it comes to QT Marshall because, well, let's be honest. QT is a jobber. The Factory is a jobber faction. That's what they are. If they were more prominently featured, they would be. And they tried to be, but they weren't in a very good storyline, so I'm sorry. The storyline sucked. It wasn't that good with QT Marshall as the boss of it. If he was an underling, like second in command, and there was someone above him, it would probably work. But being the boss, it didn't really work for me personally. Not taking anything from him, just didn't work. The match was fine, and CM Punk got a lot of cheers to put his ass asleep, which he did. There you go. Now, what did we get with the Gun Club versus Bear Country? We got, what is the guy's name? Colin and Billy. I always get Colin and Austin mixed up because since I don't see them often enough, now they're showing them more prominently, I'll hopefully remember who's Colin and who is Austin, because I have a tendency to forget which one, because I haven't seen the Gun Club very much. But I will say this, they got talent. When it comes to it, they got talent. Colin, I don't think he's good as his brother Austin. I think Austin looks like he might be more talented in the ring than Colin. Colin's more about loudmouth, and Austin's more of the talented one. I could be wrong. This is just me. They won their match because of their daddy. Daddy made it work, along with Austin. And in the end, Sting and Darby Allin, and I gotta say this, I believe I got a shot of it, when it was, who was it? I think it was Austin. Austin was in the ring with his brother and dad. Then the Sting comes out. Austin decides, I'm going to go and run at Sting. I'm going to whoop his ass. And then you see Darby Allin running like a damn bullet, and I believe I got it. Now it's in my face. He literally destroys him, running his ass over. Hopefully he didn't get concussed. That boy was running so fast, I'm sure he might have got concussed if he wasn't careful. There's no way that Austin couldn't have been concussed if it was done wrong. Now, mind you, he might have been fine. He looked like he stopped just in time, so Darby, when Darby hit him, he could brace himself. But if he didn't, he's got to be almost concussed. Even slightly concussed, I would not be surprised. But it looked really good. Now the Gun Club is in a feud with Sting and Darby Allin, which I'm fine with. I would like to see Sting dealing with a Billy Gunn. That's not a bad thing. Both of them have dealt with each other sometime in the past. So, wait, actually, I don't think they have. Wait, I should take that back. I don't remember if Billy or Sting has ever met each other. I do believe Billy was in WCW at one point before he went to WWE. So I don't remember. You can tell me below if Billy had interacted with Sting at one point when he was in WCW, because I do believe he might have been there. I do believe the Young Guns at one point, or Billy himself, might have worked with Sting maybe briefly. And this is just brief. Let's move on. We had the Eddie Kingston. He pretty much got pretty pissed off because 2.0 Garcia was up in his grill while he was trying to eat something and say hey to his brother, D Moxley, who is still in rehab at this time. He probably won't be out and won't be back for at least a couple of months easily. And I hope, and I say this clearly to anybody, particularly this is almost a holiday and next to eating like some crazy food, a lot of people like to get crazy ass drunk. Please drink controllably. Don't go overboard. Drink constructively. I mean, just enjoy a little bit, but don't go nuts. don't hurt yourself. But he wanted to make sure he let Moxley know he loves him and he's proud of him. But until 2.0 stopped it, and then he, and this is Kingston getting so pissed off, got some coffee in his face, and there was about to be a fight. Fine. This builds up into this Rampage. Now, yeah, it's this Rampage. They're about to have their match. It's all right. It's not a very great build-up, but it is a build-up that you can say makes a little sense because you got two New Yorkers, one from my neck of the woods and one from Buffalo. And Buffalo is not the same as New York City. I'm saying it right now. New York has different parts where they got the nice, friendly part, and the part I'm living in. It ain't always friendly and nice. Bronx or Brooklyn and Queens can be very rough when they want to be. Manhattan is a little mix of all of them. But they kind of like not to because UN is there and they try not to look too ugly, but you know what I mean. Let's move on. We now have the Thunder Rosa and the Jamie Hager match, which was a very hard-hitting match. I don't know about anybody else. Those two were trying to break each other's faces. That's the way it looked. And that's a good thing to show that they were really trying to make this a really important thing, the TBS title picture, the quarterfinals. There you go. The quarterfinal match. They really wanted to make sure that this meant something. Now, mind you, I didn't expect Hager to win. Even though I think it would have been interesting if Hager and Britt Baker did become Women's World Heavyweight Champion and the TBS Champion. It might be a little bit interesting, but then it would seem way too lopsided. So she not winning was fine. But now, the little tension between Hager and Britt Baker has begun. Now, the question is going to be, how hard are they going to go down this path? Are they going to make Hager mean something? Because Britt Baker eventually is going to need a really good opponent. And Hager could easily be that opponent. She has the ability. She does have the ability to talk to a certain extent, and she's got the ring work. So it's going to be a question, can it be done? I'm just saying. The match that was very interesting, Colt Cabana versus a Bryan Danielson. Now, both of them know each other. Known each other for years. And Colt has never beat Bryan Danielson. In Chicago, the crowd was I got to say this before I get to the promo. At the end of my review, the crowd was hot. Hot in Chicago. And I actually enjoyed seeing the banter that was going on between the crowd and the wrestlers. It was actually quite nice to see it was that much activity. But it's not expected. It's one of the hot areas for wrestling. Let's make it clear. Bryan Danielson made an example of a Colt Cabana. He ended him. And then when the little interview in the ring happened, and he made sure to not ham it up, but heal it up. This is how, Daniel Bryan, I'm going to heal it up. That is what Bryan Danielson did. He healed that mess up, making it very clear. You know, I remember when I debuted in this arena. Wasn't that too long ago? And now everything has changed. Is it because I changed, or is it because you all have changed? And he clearly said, I knocked out. I made sure to knock the head off of Colt Cabana. And as you see in my face, I knocked the tooth out of his mouth. Well, that's very interesting. You knocked the tooth out of his mouth. That doesn't have no blood on it. If I remember correctly, and if you're seeing it, there's no blood on it. They should have blood on it. I'm just saying. But he said, I'm going to keep going through everyone. Dark Order. We're going to be going in I think, Atlanta. There's somebody there coming. I'm going to hurt you. And then Adam Page comes out and says simply, you know what? We don't have to wait. If you want a title match, we can do it right now. And you get Bryan Danielson saying, of course you're going to give me a title match now. I just had a match. Of course. You say you're cowboy shit, you're more coward shit. Or cowardly shit. He makes it clear, okay, no problem. No match. Puts his title down. Takes off I think he took off his vest. No, he didn't take off his vest. He said, no problem. But you know what? I want to whoop some ass. You'll do right now. And then they have a quick fight. You almost got a buckshot lariat. And he left the ring, and that's Bryan Danielson. Still, they're not going for each other yet. But this is a good build. Mind you, I want to say this clearly. As much as it's a good build, Bryan Danielson is a good heel when he wants to be. I'm still hoping he does not win the title. I don't think he should. Not this year. And not the beginning of next year either. I think it should be stretched out. He should eventually lose because of some outside interference. I'm just saying. Now, we got the 8-man tag. Now, I don't normally like 8-man tags or 6-man tag if they're done highly chaotic. But in this respect, I'm going to say because of the people that were in it, it was a very good match. Mainly due to the fact of the Chicago crowd. There was one point that Cody decided when he got into the ring and the crowd was somewhat cheering him, but mainly still booing. He felt so hyped up, he took off his normal weight belt, froze into the crowd. Guess what happened? Someone threw it back. Someone threw that shit back. Now, mind you, not everyone is going to like that. They're going to think, oh, come on, you're doing the WWE thing. Now, mind you, it is what you see it as. Kind of like what happened with John Cena, dealing with RVD on the pay-per-view that people say is an ECW pay-per-view. It is all ECW all the time. In this situation, Cody is wanted to be a heel. Nobody wants to cheer him. He's still trying to stay a face, which makes him a heel, and nobody wants to cheer him. When he got that that weight belt came back, he threw it out again, it got thrown out again, and he decided, you know what, forget this, and he put the damn thing back on. That was one of the highlights for me personally. Now, the match itself. Pac looked good. Andrade looked good. He lost his pants eventually. I'll say this, when it comes down to it, it was a good match. You see Art get into the ring with Telly, and the manager of Andrade, I don't remember his name, tried to get in on it, grabbing his nuts, saying that he's got the cojones, and basically Telly and Art knocks his ass out. They don't fight one another. They knock out the guy who's trying to get in their faces then when they wanted to start fighting, which I can understand that. This is about them. It isn't about this little piece of shit. So in the end, due to two issues, one, Cody accidentally kicking Pac in the face, and then Malachi Black spraying him in the face with the mist that he loves so much, did Andrade get the pin? I do believe it was him. Yeah, he got the pin on Pac. Sorry. I'll say it was okay for what it was. Now, everyone is going to like it. I don't normally like 8-man or 6-man tags, or definitely 10-man tag. I think it's overdone. But here in Chicago, with the crowd being so hot, and it being Thanksgiving Eve, it does work. I'm just saying. Now, I have done the rest of the review. There will be only one more image, and you're about to see it. It's going to be right here, and it's going to stay there to the end. And this is the CM Punk and MJF segment. This was 20 minutes long. No, 18 minutes long, because the beginning opening took about 2 minutes for CM Punk, the opening, for him to walk to the ring, and then the MJF to come out. So I'd say about 18 to 19 minutes. But this segment, I don't know about anybody else. There's going to be some people that is going to hate. I know there's going to be people that's going to hate this. Flat out, they think it's going to be a WWE thing. No. I'm sorry. This is how a segment works. Only when it's important. Sorry if you hear kids in the background. Only when it's important do you stretch it out that long. Now, there's going to be people that's going to say it was too long. Not going to understand it. But in this situation where they were covering a lot of CM Punk's own history, when MJF was bringing up when he went and took his ball and left, when he went to the UFC and got his ass handed to him, and when he was scared out of his damn mind, and he said clearly, for someone who's so straight edge, you look like a damn meth addict with all your damn tats. He brought up a lot of stuff that not everyone will say, but really made sense. And his part was done so beautifully, very eloquently. It was done lovely. Then Punk, who looked like he had to build up into it a little bit. He wasn't on the really on the cusp of it. Not until halfway into it did he really get into that segment. For me personally, and he said simply, "You know what? I'm disappointed in you, but I can understand you want to be like me, but you can't be like me because you're more of a lighter version of the damn Miz." He called MJF a wannabe light version of Miz. As much as MJF called him a Cena, the people saw exactly that he not only loves Rosie O'Donnell and probably jerked off to her ass, but he is a light version of the Miz, the Michael Mizbin. Oh, that really got people because technically speaking, MJF has done exactly the same thing as Miz. He basically became well known on television. What happened with Rosie O'Donnell? He did some other stuff, and then eventually he transitioned into wrestling. That's the truth. That is the total truth. But unlike The Miz, who had to struggle his ass off because he did too much TV, MJF wasn't in it long enough, even though he was well seen, to really be defined by it. He's more defined by the moment with Rosie O'Donnell than The Miz is with Real World, flat out. Real World totally defined Miz, and that was longer than just one segment for him, one show. It was months. So this segment was done well. I did love this segment. And particularly that we don't get this often from Dynamite or AEW. A very long segment, maybe during the middle or the end if it's really important. In this situation, yes, it was almost 20 minutes long, and not everyone is going to like it. They're going to think it's another WWE ripoff thing, that they just copied the WWE. But this is an important thing that they hopefully are building a more stronger feud than they did with Eddie Kingston. Look, I wanted Eddie Kingston and him to have a long feud of at least a month, but they cut it short. Maybe because Eddie was hurt, or maybe they just thought it wasn't necessary. And they just decided to move him on to MJF, who is even more prominent than Eddie, which is true. And one point that Punk said, you think of yourself as one of the pinnacles, the pillars of AEW? Hell, Britt Baker's already beat your ass to that. And that just made the crowd even more hyped and popped. This was a very good segment that made the show so damn good. It did. I don't know about anybody else, but I enjoyed this show. But that's just me, and I hope you enjoyed this Dynamite Delight. Please give me a comment below, and hopefully when I do my Impact review, it'll be good. Hopefully they'll give us something interesting. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.